In the 2016 election, 92 million of eligible voters did not vote. Only about 50% of the eligible voters in the millennial generation cast a ballot, which is less than 58% of the estimated voter turnout. A quote from a Kaiser Family Foundation survey says that despite holding strong opinions on many of the issues in the upcoming election, for many young people, the connection hasn't been made between voting and what happens on the issues they care about. Last year, when I registered to vote for the 2018 midterm elections, I felt the overwhelming urge to use my civic duty and voice my opinion on politics. For my survey of the classroom, I found that half of you are registered to vote, and the other half plan to do so before the upcoming election this November. Today, I'll be talking about why the youth voter turnout is so low, how we can encourage more young people to vote, as well as the impact that our voices can make. First, let's see why so many young people aren't showing up to the polls. One of the biggest reasons is that we feel that we're not being represented in the candidates running for office, as well as who is in our current government. We feel very disengaged from the baby boomer generation, who makes up most of our government currently. And in past elections, candidates aren't really making an effort to encourage the youth vote, so we don't feel like we have a place in the elections. Another problem is that many young people live out of the state from where their polling location is at and have a hard time getting an absentee ballot. Another issue is that we are not educating our high school students enough about politics, upcoming elections, or the candidates in general. Now, let's see how we can get more voters to show up at the polls. In more recent elections, like the 2016 presidential election, candidates such as Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton have made more of an effort to encourage the youth vote. Bernie Sanders, for instance, has a very large presence on social media and is constantly interacting with the younger generations. He also started the College Students for Sanders group, which has about 200 locations around the country. He also planned live streams where tens of thousands of college students could see him and view his rallies and any events that he held. Some efforts that have made a difference in voter turnout are bringing more attention to candidates, having voting rallies, media coverage, mock elections, pledges, registration accessibility, as well as youth conventions. Cecilia Cherubini, who is a college student that was at a Bernie Sanders rally in 2016, said, "You know, it's great to have someone from another generation seeing what we're seeing." Some artists, like Ariana Grande, have used their platform to encourage their audience to register to vote, knowing that the majority of their audience falls in the youth category. During her tour last year, those who were eligible to register to vote were able to register at the venue she was performing at. She worked with an organization called Headcount, and according to them, 2019 was one of the biggest years they had for people registering, with about 17,000 extra people registering, most of it coming from her tour. Lastly, let's see the impact that your voice can make. In the US, the millennials and Generation Z make up a third of the eligible voters. Many experts say that we could make a large impact on this year's election just because we are more ethically diverse and are more liberal than older generations. For my survey of the classroom, I noticed a couple people expressing that in the grand scheme of things, their vote does not matter, and that the House of Representatives has the final say. While that is true, we control who is in the House of Representatives purely by popular vote. The 2018 midterm election shows the power of the youth. According to Pew Research, more voters voted in the 2018 midterm election than any non-presidential election year since 1978, and that younger generations, such as Generation Z, Millennials, and Generation Y, outvoted baby boomers for the second time in election history. The 2018 midterm election was historic, especially for women candidates. They broke records for the number of candidates for the House, the Senate, as well as Congress. From that election, 90 women were elected into the House of Representatives. The first Muslim woman was elected into Congress. Tennessee gained their first woman senator. 2 Native American women were voted into Congress for the first time. And Arizona gained their first female senator, as well as the first openly bisexual senator. In conclusion, as one of the most influential groups in the United States, we need to use our voices. If we work together, we can make a huge impact on how the government represents us. It is important to educate ourselves on politics and upcoming elections and candidates in general. Not every country has the freedom and the ability to do what we're able to do, so I encourage you to use this duty. I will be posting a link under this speech where you can register to vote if you have not already. It is super simple. It should take you around 5 minutes, and I hope you use it if you aren't registered. Thank you.